Well, hi, Mark, and thank you so much. Congratulations on the film. I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you very much.
I think I enjoyed it so much because it really had a strong kind of dramatic core. And of course, that's no coincidence given your directing background and expertise.
Yeah.
What were the kind of discussions that you had with the producers and studio when you came on board in terms of the importance of character and drama in this film?
At the beginning, I was very hesitant if I wanted to actually direct the movie or not, and one of the reasons was because I wanted to make sure within that framework of Bond, of that world of Bond, I can really create my own movie and my own vision and leave a stamp behind. And in that sense, I had a lot of discussions, and I told him I really want to focus on this emotional core of Bond and tell that sort of emotional core and set it around intense action and make the film sort of in a very short rush of an emotional sort of exploration of Bond's character. And they agreed with me, and basically as the month went on and I still hesitated if I wanted to direct the film or not, they always said, look, we're going to support your vision, you're going to make the movie you want to make, and that's what I ultimately did, and I really enjoyed making this film.
And obviously one of the first things that you did was request a rewrite from Paul Haggis. What were the discussions you had with him about what needed to change in the script?
We started talking about overall that it was important for me to make the film about natural resources and build Bond's character, set Bond's character in a sort of a political world which is believable and real. And in my research I found that Bolivia, there was a water crisis and it would be a right country to set it in. Also politically, Morales was holding on to power and had problems. So I felt Bolivia would be a good country to set it in. Also Haiti was... literally happened that the government was overthrown because they wanted to raise the minimum wage by the CIA. So I felt like to build that sort of political believability and reality would make Bond more believable because the background and the world he lives in is very real.
Okay, so conversely, given your strong dramatic background with The Kite Runner and Finding Neverland and Monsters Ball and so on, how did you then approach the action sequences?
I felt like the action sequences in themselves always have to tell sort of a story or a bit of a story and move the story forward. And in a sense, I tried it also with the characters of Bond and Camille in the boat chase or the plane sequence. And the idea originally when I worked on it also with Paula was the idea to set all the big action sequences in the four elements, like water, air, fire, and earth. So that was sort of the overall idea. And then, a lot of in directing with action has to do with the preparation and in pre-production to really rehearse it, to choreograph it and plan it. That once you're shooting it on the set, it's more of an execution of the set piece than anything else.
I couldn't help but notice things like, in a car chase, there would be coffins that spilled out onto the road and so on. I just thought there's beautiful sort of directorial moments where you're really getting through that shadow of death that's hanging over him. He knows he's committed to this job. He can't escape. I thought it was just really beautifully done.
Oh, thank you.
It is interesting that this is happening across genre films, it seems to me. I was on the set of Wolverine recently, and the producers there had obviously brought in Gavin Hood, who's a drama director, to help to flesh out, I guess, that character of a superhero there. How does that approach actually perhaps fuel the action in the case of Bond?
I think it makes it more interesting because once you're connected to a character and you make sort of a character-driven action movie, you feel it's more interesting because you have an interest in the character and there's an emotional connection to a character, and that's what I really pays off ultimately if an audience is emotionally connected to the journey of their hero.
Mm-hmm. And here in the Australian industry, the push at the moment is very much to make more commercial, more internationally marketable films. It seems to me that at the same time Hollywood is kind of, that's been doing that very well for a long time, is heading towards more character-driven films, perhaps the type of which Australia has been making for a long time. Do you see that kind of reverse happening globally?
Yeah, I feel like, that we're living in a time now where people not looking so much for these perfect heroes. It's more like sort of an anti-hero movement. You could see that in Batman and maybe in Bond as well, that what people are drawn to is more these realistic kind of figures, and it's not necessarily that you have to please everyone, but there is sort of characters you can relate to, and normal people can relate to, and feel like, oh, I could be this person, or there's sort of a believability that they're not perfect, and that imperfection makes them interesting to watch and gives them a sort of a mystery.
Absolutely. And in this case, the fact that Daniel Craig does so much of his stunts himself, I think, adds to that level of realism. What does Daniel bring to the role this time that's an evolution or a development on the last film, Casino Royale?
He definitely brings, the great thing about Daniel is he really humanized Bond. And he, in the last one, what interested me, as this is a sequel to Casino Royale, is the last 5 minutes of Casino Royale, when he sort of lost the love of his life and was sort of in this pain of losing Vesper. And sort of this pain and sort of this sort of damage that created, this incident created in this character, is sort of was a nice point to take off and take this character into Quantum of Solace and have sort of this emotional arc of the character. And that what really interested me, and what I thought was important for me and Daniel when we collaborated on it and worked on the character together, is to feel that pain, but without talking about it. That you feel it in his mind, in his body, and you feel how isolated and lonely this character is, and how damaged he is.
So would it be fair to say that in the past, the Bond franchise is dealing very much with fantasy and the fact that men would aspire to be Bond in a very kind of surreal way, and that perhaps now they're identifying with him on a much more believable or realistic or accessible, perhaps, for want of a better word?
Absolutely.
basis?
Now, he used to be this gentleman who was a hero, and now he is a very realistic human character which we can relate to. It's interesting enough, actually, the character, the way Daniel plays Bond, is much closer to the way Ian Fleming wrote Bond originally in his books, which none of the Bond actors have done in the past.
Okay, well, expectations obviously huge. Casino Royale took 594 million worldwide. What are your personal hopes and predictions for Quantum of Solace?
We had a great start in the US with the last weekend, and if we would reach 700 million, I would be incredible joyful. But you can't predict it, and I just hope it will continue to be a huge success all over the globe.
Well, in any case, job very well done. Thank you so much, Marc.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Cheers.